Joining us, Republican Congressman Peter King of New York. He's a key member of the House Homeland Security Committee as well as the Intelligence Committee. Congressman, thanks very much for joining us. A few quick questions, then I want to move on.
Thank you, Wolf.
Based on everything you know, is this leader of ISIS, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, injured, dead, alive? What do you know?
Wolf, we're still trying to determine that. There is nothing definite. I don't rely on what the Iraqi government says. They were telling us back in September there was going to be an attack on the New York City subway system. So, no, we do not have the intelligence on the ground that we should. Ever since the president ordered the withdrawal of our troops, it is very difficult for us to get people on the ground to give us the intel that we need. I expect to get it soon. We're going through social media, and we are trying to reach out to different sources. But it's as of this date, as far as I know, we do not have a definite answer if he's dead or alive.
I've been told by U.S. officials they take everything that the Iraqi government in Baghdad, this new Iraqi government, tells them with a huge, huge grain of salt. Is that right?
That's certainly how I would look at it. Yeah, I mean, they've not been reliable. You see conflicting reports come out, and again, I use the example of their prime minister actually being at the UN in New York and saying that there was a threat against New York City subway system, and it was just totally untrue.
If Baghdadi were to go, would that really, in the long term, in this war against ISIS, make much of a difference? Because there are a whole bunch of others ready to step up.
Yeah, well, there is Turkmani and Ambari and others who are lined up to take his place. They're his deputies. But I think in the short term, it would be a very sharp and almost devastating attack against them, a loss for them, because he is so charismatic. But I agree, it's probably in about weeks or months, they'd be back at full strength. But during that time, when he has been, if he turns out to be dead or seriously wounded, if we can take advantage of that to move and to move more rapidly at a time when they could be in a state of confusion or a state of again not knowing exactly where to turn. And also the other factor, they're putting out all these these videos, and it's to show that they're invulnerable, to show that they can't be stopped. If we can show that we can kill their leader, who almost has this messianic influence over them, if we can show that, that would, I think, help us as far as stopping their recruiting and as far as building up morale and trying to build up local support against ISIS.
On the other hand, Congressman, I've been told by U.S. analysts that one of their top goals for recruiting, for propaganda, for morale, for whatever, is to kill an American or Americans, military personnel in Iraq as quickly as possible. I assume that's a huge concern right now, especially as the first 50 U.S. troops are moving into the Al Anbar province, 80% of which is ruled by ISIS right now.
There's no doubt they do want to kill American military. They have also threatened to go after American military family members. And we've seen here in the United States and Canada attacks on police officers and military. So ISIS is really carrying this fight to another dimension, either through their own soldiers or through social media, encouraging their followers to attack the military, to attack the police, and also to attack family members. So no, we have to certainly be on our guard, both in Iraq, in Syria, and also really in Europe and throughout the world, and right here in the United States.
It's a bad thought to even think about, but Americans should get ready for U.S. troops coming home in body bags as this war escalates?
Well, listen, nobody wants to see any American killed in any war, but the fact is that that is something that we may have to face, and I think that the president would be better advised to take stronger action rather than doing it in bits and pieces, and not to be telling the American people he's not going to be using ground troops, when obviously one way or the other he is, and he's increasing it by 50, by 1,500. And so it's, to me, the president has to have a more consistent and clear strategy, and to carry out that strategy, he can't just keep saying we're not going to use ground troops, when the fact is virtually everyone knows that airstrikes are not enough, especially against an army of 30,000 members, and which has a landmass larger than the entire country of Great Britain.
You agree with Senator John McCain that what he described as this slow pace that the U.S. is taking in this war against ISIS reminds him of the escalation that occurred during Vietnam, and he's a Vietnam War veteran?
Yeah, no one is better qualified to speak on that than John McCain, and I fully agree with Senator McCain. I believe that again, everyone gets a different lesson from Vietnam, but the one that I have, and certainly I believe John McCain has, and he was there, is that when you escalate, you give the enemy the chance to escalate its defenses. When you tell the enemy what you're going to do, you give the enemy the opportunity to plan, and you also show a reluctance to go all out. I would want ISIS to think that we will do whatever we have to do, use whatever number of troops, whatever weapons we have. Whether we do or not, that's up to the commander-in-chief. But I would never let the enemy know what we're going to do or not going to do.
We have more to discuss, Congressman. I want you to stand by. A quick break. We'll also make the turn to Iran. What is Iran up to in Iraq right now, and more right after this.